It is 9:39. We call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is roll call.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Alderman Taylor.
Here.
Alderman Runyon.
Here.
Alderman Maloney.
Here.
Alderwoman Bibbs.
Here.
Alderman Hartman.
Here.
Alderman Rousey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. The item we have before us is a public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. I declare this public hearing open at 9:40.
All right, good evening. The budget was presented to the governing body on August 11th of 2023 and was also published in the Missouri Lawyers Media on the same day. The total proposed expenditures for all funds for fiscal year 24 are $64,441,925. And this public hearing is to solicit input from the public. General fund revenues are projected to rise by 4% in 2024 as the increase in sales and use tax revenues, franchise fees, and property tax provide a significant portion of next year's increase. Particularly, sales and use tax are expected to increase approximately 7% due to recent high inflation. Additionally, the recreational marijuana sales tax, which begins October 1st, will generate an additional revenue source for the city. Property taxes are expected to increase 5%, which includes a Hancock Amendment CPI adjustment, and $40 million of new construction and personal property improvements in 2022. This is testament to how much Grandview continues to grow despite recent economic challenges presented by COVID-19. Franchise fees will increase 5% as several utility companies recently raised consumer rates. These three revenue sources together are expected to increase nearly 6% and comprise 67% of our general fund operating revenue. The city is also planning on issuing its second $7 million of general obligation bonds in 2024 of the $21 million bond package approved by voters in 2022. And we are also expected to receive $4.6 million from the federal government for improvements to Blue Ridge Boulevard from 2nd Street to Prospect. 2024 will be a busy and exciting year and a continuation of the city's strategic and aggressive investment in infrastructure and community building projects will propel Grandview into the next decade and beyond. Overall expenditures are $64,441,925, which is Grandview's largest budget ever. Of this, some of the noteworthy expenditures include over $25 million of capital improvement projects, including $9.5 million for Blue Ridge Boulevard, $11.3 million of voter-approved bond projects, and the fifth consecutive year of increased funding for street, curb, and sidewalk replacement. Additionally, we will be purchasing bunker gear and extrication equipment replacement in fire department, tactical body armor and in-car video recorder replacement in police department, the Memorial Fountain skate park and walking trail renovations, as well as sponsoring recruits to the police academy and funding paramedic school for existing and new employees. In closing, the board began deliberations for the 24 budget earlier this evening. The final budget adoption is scheduled for September 5th. And a copy of this budget is available at the Municipal Services Building or online at grandview.org/budget.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And again, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to address this public hearing, please stand up, approach the mic, state your name and address, and do sign in with the city clerk. Any Board of Aldermen, do you have any comments on this public hearing?
Mayor,
Alderman Runyons.
on page 5, it shows the tax rates.
Can you speak in the mic so we can?
On page 5, it shows the tax rates, property tax, consolidated school district number 4, Jackson County. But again, this year, what they do it every year, they left out Hickman Mills School District, which is everyone north of 125th Street. And it's about time that we put this on show it on our budget. I mean, Alderwoman Bibbs and I live north of 125th Street. Truman Marketplace is north of 125th Street. So that's a different tax rate. And I think the people need to know that.
We can add that to that page in there.
I heard
and
that last year and the year before, so.
We can add it and just add it in
It should be
this
there.
week.
We shouldn't have to ask to be put there. It should be already in there.
We can add it this week.
Thank you
Because-
very much.
Consolidated District 4, the Grandview School District, they've got people in, Kansas City, they live in Kansas City, they live, same thing. We've got to treat all our school districts equal.
Okay, so we're going to make that addition.
Yeah, we can
Awesome.
put the new page in, just replace the one that's
Yeah.
there right now.
I think that would be fine, and we'll send the message that it's there. Awesome. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Alderman Hartman.
I apologize. I did not pull this up and look at it ahead of time, but is in this budget, is everything presented to us as department to department?
That is correct.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, I know there's probably a lot of work been done to that. But in my opinion, I think that with, I heard you say about 65 million in revenues, right, Jamal?
Yeah.
To me, it's a lot simpler if you would have explained it like, okay, we're getting 65 million in this year, but our fixed expenses are going to be what? And then we're going to devote so much money to each department, kind of a simple, basic accounting style. And then have the board discuss, well, maybe we wanted to throw more money at the police department. Maybe we wanted to do more to IT, like the mayor said one time. Have a discussion about that before you go through and present everything, what you're going to do. That would be my suggestion. Now, I know we can change this. This is preliminary, and I appreciate what everybody's done. Don't get me wrong. And so is this the time, or we can bring those suggestions to you at a later date, or?
Absolutely. Anytime you can bring those suggestions to us.
Well, to do that, I would have to know how much money you have to spend. Our expenditures, our fixed costs and expenditures, and I think I talked about this 3 or 4 years ago. That's the way I would do my household accounting. This is a lot more detailed, I understand. But if we got this much money coming in, this much money going out, then we can't change this hand because that's going out. Wages, insurance, cars, gas,
Liabilities.
all of that money. But we've got left after we get 65 million in and those expenditures are gone. 20 million, 30 million, that number. And then we can talk about what department, say Joe or Dale or Debbie, any of us, maybe we have a preference. Maybe we should put a little more money over here. For example, the crime rate in Grandview. There's a lot of stuff goes on at night. So I might suggest, well, could we possibly get 4 or 5 more cars and police officers out at night, when all the crime happens? Just that general discussion like that.
Yeah.
Before we get too far and set with what's going where. Am I making myself clear on that?
No, absolutely. And if you look at the first, I want to say 50 pages, it's department by department. It breaks down what was their budget the year before. We normally put 3 years in there and what the budget is going to be and where the money is going to be spent. And it's in the budget document. If if we want to dive into those details, happy to have those discussions where when the department directors are here to explain to you what they're planning on doing. And if this is about a fixed costs, as you said it, there's certain things that are fixed,
Right.
like
right.
debt payment. The way that you're referring to, Alderman Hartman, is government accounting, especially the fund accounting. There are certain funds we cannot put money from A location to a B location. If it's a public safety sales tax, right, it is going to be spent in public safety. You cannot put that money into community development. So that's the difference. I think you're referring to in utility accounting, where in a water department, you looked at how much money you have, what's your fixed cost, what's left, then you distributed that, right? The way the governmental accounting works, especially with the guidance of the state laws and federal laws, is once that fund gets that money, it's locked in. One prime example of that is Superfund. Like, we can't use that money to fund something else, even though they have a surplus at times, right? So that's the piece. But happy to have these conversations, and those pages of the budget has this detailed breakdown, and I don't want to confuse the group with simplicity of it. Normally, how it rolls up is maybe page and a half, 2 pages. You can just clearly see department where the money is in the budget document.
Right, but that money can be taken from one department to the next, right?
Depending on
depending,
what
yeah.
fund it is coming from.
Well, then I think we should have that discussion. That's the part I'm getting at. You know, you have done this since you've been here. Kurt's done it. You know, you guys know what you're doing. You present it. But me, maybe I'm speaking for myself, and I am speaking for myself. I think I need a little more detail on what department gets what. Do you just go by what they got last year and add 10% to it? That's what they're going to get this year? Or that gap that we made up, we didn't have the money last year, but we got more. So that percentage goes to the departments. So why couldn't we take some money out of one department and give it to the next? If that was the preference of the board.
Sure, absolutely. That's your desire. If that's the board's prerogative, definitely. But I will point out one thing. There is no department that is getting less money this year. Like, there's no such a thing. And
no, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about shortchanging one or the other. I'm
Okay.
just having more input at the beginning rather than you bringing it to us and say, this is what we propose this year.
That's right.
Well, okay, I understand that. But
Well, I think there's a
you-
misconception.
Yeah.
This is the city administrator presenting a budget to the Board of Aldermen. This is the city administrator's budget that he's presenting to the Board of Aldermen. And every city does the same thing. So the city administrator presents it, and then the Board of Aldermen discusses the budget that's been presented. So I think we're saying the same thing.
Same thing.
Yes. So,
How do we get there?
well, so in essence tonight, the city administrator and staff are presenting a budget to us, a proposed budget. So we will have a chance to sit down with the departments to look at the specifics and the department heads that you have spent a lot of time with the last 2 months to look at.
4 months, Mayor.
4 months, excuse me. The
4
last
months.
4 months to then discuss what needs to be discussed.
And I think
So-
they've done a great job.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Mayor, that we need to have a little more input at some point in time.
Yes.
And I thought it probably should have been before this was presented. That would give him a little roadmap on, hey, they're thinking a little different than me, but we can get there. You know,
Absolutely.
We have time.
We're
We
not.
have time to discuss
I think
that.
we all are
Yes,
saying the same thing, Alderman Hartman.
That's all
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah, we all are saying the same thing. I was going to point out this too. Look, these budgets are not built with the discretion of 1 or 2 or 10 people. This is, in a big picture, you gave us your strategic planning. When we go through that strategic planning, you guys make priorities. Then we align these departmental priorities that you guys came up with into dollar figures that are coming in and going out.
further discussion on Alderman Runyon?
And along with what Alderman Hartman is saying, in the past, these budget discussions started in June, and we had the different, yeah, I was before your time.
Oh, what year was this?
We used to have budget discussions with each department, what the funds that they wanted to spend, and we did have an input. Now it's just, here it is, we're 6 weeks out from having to approve it. In the
So-
past, we have had discussions
Yep.
in June, July, with department heads about what they were going to spend the money on.
Sure.
If they wanted to spend $50 here and 2,000 there.
Yep.
But we're not getting that opportunity now.
So I will answer your question, Alderman Runyon's, by saying that this year we even added a week to have an additional discussion about this per your request from last year. So when you look at it from that perspective, you cannot have a budget discussion in June where technically you're at the 6 months mark where we do not know where the revenues are going for the next year. It's impossible to predict what's going to happen year and a half from now, right this moment, let alone 3 months prior to today, us having to have a meaningful conversation. So I will check the record before saying that we did not have a budget conversation in June of 2022, but I will
I'm talking
look
about-
at the calendars.
Talking about in 2008, 2009.
But we can go back that far too. It's in our records, as Becky was talking. I will confirm with you if you guys had a June budget discussions, because we're getting awards every year with our budget prep and the hard work we put in. It's very difficult to come up with a budget in June for the year that starts in October on.
We're talking about the input to build the budget, like Alderman Hartman was saying. We had input into what sidewalks or whatever.
Absolutely. And you guys' input is every day. Every day. Every day we listen to what your priorities are. And outside of that, the strategic planning determines how the budget is going to be shaped that year.
We told the department heads to basically use your strategic plan as kind of the framework
And-
and kind of made them defend some of their requests based on the strategic plan and if it hits your strategic objectives.
The other,
Mayor,
But we'd be happy to talk about any of the details within
Any
those line
numbers,
items if you like.
any numbers
Yeah.
at any
Right.
scale, happy
Yeah.
to discuss it.
Alderman Hartman?
just one more comment on that. I don't want to know how many cars or trucks or anything. I'm just talking generally. If that conversation would have went, like you said, you don't know from one year to the next how much money you're going to have, how much money we're going to spend.
Until the 9th month. Yeah.
But we also do know what happens from year to year on, say, crime or fires or IT or whatever department public works. So that discussion is what I'm talking about, not in the nitty gritty on how many trucks or fire trucks we're going to buy. Just in general,
Sure.
hey, we see a problem. Maybe we should throw some more money in this department to take care of those issues or something. Just let us have a little input. That's all. I'm
Absolutely.
asking, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, just for the record, I've been here for a couple of days, and I've never have seen anything in June.
We'll confirm that,
Yeah,
Mayor.
so I'm
happy
just
to.
saying,
Happy
I
to.
don't recall anything,
Happy to.
in June.
Yeah.
Period.
Look, staff
And-
job is not to make
Sure.
corrections until we have facts in front of us. I wasn't here in 2008,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure we can go that far and see
Sure.
when those conversations
And
happen.
I'm sure
at what
Kurt was
scale.
here in 2008, and do
I
you?
know we did some mid-year reviews.
Yeah, but-
during
yeah,
that
but
time,
never-
I don't
never a
recall any
budget.
in-depth
Exactly.
discussions.
And the other thing I would also say is that, there are some cities in the metropolitan area that, get the budget a week and a half, and they have one session, and it's approved, the week later. So it's all types of ways that the city administrator, presents the budget, and you go through that process. So,
Happy to have a deeper
Yeah.
conversation. No problem.
absolutely.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Fair enough. Any further discussion? It is 9:59. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Bibbs.
a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor,
Alderman Rousey.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We officially adjourn at 9:59.
Good luck tomorrow.